Yo, we are back once again. This is the Wu-Tang podcast. I am Singar Superior. The almighty AR is on indefinite hiatus. So I have Born King back with me once again to discuss another classic Killer Beat album that I'm sure a lot of you guys have listened to and have enjoyed over and over again. Born King, what's good with you?
I'm chilling, man. I mean, everything is lovely. I mean, thanks for having me back on the show. I'm just ready to get into it, you feel me?
Yeah, no doubt. So let's get into it. So for this episode, the last episode we focused on a lot of Dog Man's Heist of the Century and everything like that. And toward the end of that episode, I talked about another Killer Beat album, which I guess based on the title of this episode, when you guys will see it, you know what I'm talking about. I was kind of holding out on possibly my favorite Killer Beat album of all time, and that album is Killarmy's Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars from 1997. Really, interesting, grimy album. The production is top notch, of course, with Fourth Disciple, and Killarmy consisting of Fourth Disciple, Ninth Prince, Kinetic Nine, Don Pacino, or PR Terrorist, as he was known as then, Is Lord, Shogun Assassin, and Killer Sin. So, with that being said, Born, what do you remember about this album when it first came out?
Oh, man. What don't I remember about it? Once again, it was like, it was brand new. It was fresh. And once again, all those different styles were out, and they particularly stood out, especially with the lyrics, out there with the 5% Nation. So by them dropping jewels and, just expressing the culture in the way they did, following up, the original line, it was a great impact because you didn't hear everybody else saying what they were saying. And then you didn't see like a group of people per se other than the Wu, but you didn't know that there was going to be like an offspring, a unit, kind of like in the fashion of the original nine, actually. So when they actually hit with this album, whoever was in tune, with the movement period, this helped, resonate even more understanding. So yeah, man, I remember as soon as we put it in, it was like, of course, everybody quiet. We listening. You got to absorb it, and the energy behind it, it was like mellow, and it was dark. Once again, yeah, another dark album, but, how can I put it? It just made you aware. I can't really. It's just a feeling when you hear something first. You know what I mean? Whether it be good or bad. Luckily, this was a good thing. You know what I mean? And then it's just like the name itself, Killarmy. You're like, oh yeah, you gotta hear what this, hear what it's about. And they stuck to the concept. The military, all that. And then at that time, plus, like anybody was outside, it wasn't called trapping. Then you was just, you was out on the block or whatever. And you was wearing like the military rain gear or the army jackets, Timbs and things of that nature. So once again, it's another album that touched the culture that was alive at that time. It was in tune. So if anybody dressed a certain way and they had that CD or that tape, it was like you felt the part. You didn't feel like they weren't with you. And with joints like Wake Up or Fair Love and War, it all just fit with the characteristic of everyday life. But it was given to you from a perspective of mathematics, supreme alphabet, And like I said, it was just different because nobody else was really given that type of energy. So yeah, it had a great impact. Especially because it was very different and it added on to hip hop. It didn't take away from hip hop, it added on.
And yeah, if you think about it, the whole I guess aesthetic of Killarmy, the whole military thing, the military ideology through the weaponry that they're using metaphorically at least, and the title, which is which is a really dope title, as well as like the movie samples, right? Kind of going away from the kung fu samples, focusing on like movies like Full Metal Jacket and military based movies, and if you just think about the time. It being 97, it seemed like it was a time where, like this kind of, it was more of a military aesthetic. If you think about CNN's The War Report from 97, if you want to, dig deep into Wu-Tang, you have Bells of War on the double CD, and then you have, No Limit, the No Limit Soldiers, and they were all, running around as if they were a part of a, military group also. But, it's interesting with this album because it's similar in certain ways to the Klan, I guess, like the way that the Klan operates, or at least during that time, but then still different. So of course with the military ideology, but when it comes to the different personalities in the group, right? I think all of them have their different certain motives, right? So you have Knife Prince, Knife Prince, of course, being RZA's brother, being kind of like the Abbott, right? He has his whole thing, his whole crusade against religion and everything like that. Then you have Killer Sin, that's pretty much, he just gives you stories from like the street corner or whatever you want to call it, and stuff like that, which makes it really dope. And then at the same time, though, it's like it has this. It's a quiet album, like you said, and it has a pretty, kind of like a dense, deep, like sound to it in general, and it's a grimy, quiet sound. Whereas, during the period again, you have a lot of more polished albums coming out during the time, and even compared to Wu-Tang Forever, which is just at least compared to 36 Chambers, is a very polished album, and the production in certain points is much more elaborate compared to some of the stuff that you see on 36 Chambers, and even the W, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, when you look at let's just say when you get in the Wu Renegades, the Wu Renegade, just the sound of it, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hypnotic, you know what I mean? And then you listen, and one thing I want to bring out, and once again, this is not taking anything away from anybody of today, but the whole thing is, I keep repeating the word listen. You know what I mean? So you listening to them, because you have to hear, because it's story forms and story formats. You know what I mean? Then they got the parcel here where they fucking up a beat, you know what I'm saying? Like they just showing skill. But for the most part, you always get something out of what they have to say. And the 17 songs on there, and the mathematics, they ended 17 songs, knowledge God, all being born to build, destroy. So you knowledge God on there, and the last song is named 5 Stars. You see what I'm saying? So that's power. You know what I mean? They letting you know right there at the end, they gave it to you. You look at the mathematics, like it's more than just listening to the music, but it's how the setup is. You know what I mean? Like they speak to you in different ways, just back in that day particularly, but I'm just saying it was more to an album than just getting on the beat, talking about getting fucked up and, fucking hoes and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a reality, but for the most part, that ain't the whole fucking album. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got something out of this album, man. So it's well polished. Just in that area of hip hop as the 9, because you got stories and you get something out of it. You know what I mean? And it was well planned out. I mean, one thing built, it's like it builds up. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think it does build up, and the production on here too. I mean, I think that I think the two main drivers of this album is the fact that they didn't have features, and the fact that they had like such like really put together production that for real, like I really can't even, like, some of these beats I can't really like imagine other people, like, you know, rapping on it, or like some of these beats being on someone else's album, because it just seems like they're just so crafted to everyone's style. Particularly, I would say PR Terrorist and who is now Don Pacino, and Knife Prince especially. You know, with Knife Prince's, you know, kind of uncanny style over a beat, but for whatever reason, you know, it just fits so well on these particular beats that Fourth Disciple cooked up. And you know, we always talk about this like off air, or, you know, just in regular conversation, of how much features can kill an album. And I think, yeah, so they had Wake Up, they had Sons of Man on there, and then they had Master Killer on I think the very last song, I should say. Yeah, which was, what's the name of that song? Oh, 5 stars. There you go. They just say, yeah. So, and you know, they were like just perfect, like, you know, decor for the album, because, you know, and maybe it could have, it's to their detriment, you know, after a while, when you think about the other albums that they come out with, but like they all move together in a way, right? Like you have these little pockets and different stories and everything like that they're saying, but it's like all of them together, right? Like, you know, it's not, you know, I don't think Killer Sin necessarily stands out on Burning Season or whatever like that, or that Knife Prince stands out on Wake Up or something like that. They all kind of were on the same level.
Right. They working together as the same unit, you know what I mean? I got you.
Yeah. Cause I'm trying to think, like, yeah, there weren't like any kind of like solo songs or anything like that. I mean, I think the closest you get to a solo song would probably be "Seems to Never Fail," and that's Islord and Knife Prince.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but let's get into like what the album represents, though, because, you know, everything has a meaning. Killer Army, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. It's a reason for all that. You know what I mean? Like, what are you getting out of this album? And what will be the job of Killer Army? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their thing that they do. You know what I'm saying? It's a specialty. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So what would they specialize in? You know what I mean? Because you hear Killer Army, you see the dress code, but for the most part, you don't hear nothing about like a whole bunch of guns and running up on people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something more deeper than the physical world with this album.
Mm. Yeah.
I think it's a spiritual album, actually. I hate to say it like that, but that's just for the lack of better words, you know what I mean? So just to get people to understand, like, it's something that helps you see beyond the physical.
Mm. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, well, you have and actually, I'm wrong. Burning Season. That's a. I think that's a Killer Sin solo, I believe. But yeah. I see what you're saying. Like, maybe not exactly like spiritual per se, but like esoteric or something like that. Because
yeah, a cult. Yeah, like an occult type version. You know what I mean? Hip hop version of the occult.
Yeah, like you know, Burning Season, Killer Sin, you know, operating on the corner or whatever like that, and then you can go into like Wake Up, right, when they just get mad esoteric, and, you know, Prodigal Son at the end and everything like that, and, you know, Knife Prince, and everything like that, especially on that album, and yeah, and like, and it's sprinkled all throughout. So yeah, like that kind of esoteric element is sprinkled all throughout the album, and so yeah, they find a perfect balance between. You know, between doing that kind of stuff. I think, you know, even more so than, you know, Wu-Tang, a particular Wu-Tang album, because I'll say to me, like when it comes to a lot of like the spiritual things that people think Wu-Tang stands for, which is true, a lot of that stuff comes from RZA, and then when it comes from other people, like Massacre, of course, but like you kind of mainly hear that stuff through interviews, right? Because a lot of this stuff is like their story, like these elaborate street stories in many respects, especially on 36 Chambers.
Bitch.
Hey y'all, before we get back into this episode, I know it's been a while. I need to let you guys know about a new podcast. It's called the Hip Hop Classics Podcast, and it's hosted by my man Matt Fish. Every episode, Matt takes a deep dive into some of the most classic albums in hip hop, ranging from Wu-Tang's 36 Chambers to Dr. Dre's The Chronic. I had the opportunity to be on Matt's show talking about 36 Chambers. I had a good time. So with that being said, I'll have Matt take it away from here to let you guys know more about the show.
Hi, this is Matt Fish, inviting you to check out my brand new show, the Hip Hop Classics Podcast. Each week, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the greatest records the genre has ever produced and talk about why it's so significant to the music as well as the culture. From East Coast to West Coast, G-Funk to hardcore, and everything in between, we're going to cover it all. So join me, won't you? Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. It's the Hip Hop Classics Podcast, the new music show that you don't want to miss.
Bitch.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. If you take it in that direction, all of it in one way, if you look at it from, let's just say, once again, the occult view of anything dealing with numerology because of the mathematics, right? So you're dealing with gods, A alike, B alike, C alike. And Killarmy, you know what I mean? They all are alike. Same mind, right? Same drive, same struggle. But when you look at it esoterically, like you said, or we put the occult glasses on, we see that, you know what I mean, they had a struggle with the material world, but the world that they're in is a trap because of the devil. You feel me? We know who the devil is, not the one with the pitchfork, you know, with the horns or nothing. We talking about true and living devil. So we talking about the system of capitalism. So at the end of the day, it's like from the perspective of the street and having knowledge of self, you understand what's going on. A lot of people around you not woke, but you understand how you got to eat. So whatever you got to do to eat day by day, knowing that you have knowledge of self, but sometimes it's a contradiction in life when you have knowledge of self, or certain situations put you in a position, you know what I mean, so forth and so on. So, I mean, it's just, you know, with the expression of hell, you know what I mean, and then you got religion and how that has people in a certain mind frame. It's like they say religion is the opium of the people, you know what I mean, people gone. So you got people that need to be woke up, as their song number 8, Wake Up, you know what I mean, which is Build to Destroy. So because of everything that's going on, and they see, you know what I'm saying, each album that come out of the Clan period is for the process of awakening somebody. It's going to be some way something going to resonate with something. It's a jewel in there somewhere. It's a seed that's going to be planted. It's going to, you know what I mean, grow through time. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you get out of all of them. But this one, I think it just takes everything to a deeper level, like with the Sons of Man, you know what I mean, or Grave Diggers. So Killarmy would be like that bridge between, you know, the bridging of the gap between those two worlds. Like before you get into a Grave Diggers, or as you go into like a Grave Diggers or a Sons of Man, you going with this Killarmy. Like this is the introduction into a deeper vision now. That's just the way I see it, though. You know what I mean? I mean,
I think that's a really good point, the way you put it. That Killarmy is kind of a bridge between like the Clan and Sons of Man, like that again, that balance, because you know Sons of Man and Killer Priest are like the distilled version of like the Clan without like, you know, the elaborate street stories, and especially Killer Priest. But But yeah, so
Killer Priest does he does have those elaborate street stories. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
like that first album,
you know what I mean?
the sounds of the stack. That
well, yeah, he does. But put it this way, like how you don't get that many of them though throughout that album, right? Like you have come on, yo. I mean, the nigga's doing like spoken word poetry, you know, with a didgeridoo in the background.
No, I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Like, it's just the way that they choose to express what they see this physical world as being. So whether they're gonna give it to you from an ancient point of view, or they're gonna give it to you from a modern day point of view, you know what I'm saying, or somewhere in between. And I don't like I said once again, I don't like to use the word spiritual, but for the lack of better words. So if you want to take it to a different dimension and ascend past this and get into like the real, you know, essence of it all. You know, like I said, it's the information that they're using. You know what I mean? Whether it be mathematics or, you know, like you go into plus degrees or you might even do something, say something about something that David Icke said, or, you know, Jordan Maxwell. Like it's deep. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just all the expression of this physical world and knowing that it's hell. You know what I'm saying? Like Killer Priest did Bible. You know what I mean? And he was saying basically how the contradiction comes in when you start believing in, you know, like step on a crack, break your mother's back type situation. You know what I mean? Then he broke it down, basic instructions before leaving Earth. So, you know, it's just how I think it's all expressed given the information structure that they choose to present it from.
Now let's talk about favorite songs. What's one? Well, what are some of your favorite songs off this album?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you. My number one is "Wake Up." It's the energy on that and you know, the darkness of it all, and just the way they all collaborated on there. Like you said, like no one person really like outshines anybody. Like it's very well put together. It shows a type of unity. And that Wake Up song, it's like they really trying to get you to see something different, and they want you to, you know, shake off the bullshit that you already dealing with, or at least try to, you know, hear and listen in a different way and see something different. So that's why I fuck with that one. Wu Renegades, that's ill. I fuck with that as well. It's low vibe, you know what I'm saying? But the whole situation with it is strong. Each person represented they did their thing. They represented their own situation. Like, see, that's the thing about it. Like, it's the cohesiveness on all the songs, actually. You know what I mean? So if you want to be technical, everything that they put together on each song to me is perfect. Now, if I have to go by why I like it, you know what I'm saying, or why it's my favorite, the only thing I can really express is basically like, or it's really the track. You know what I'm saying? So it's the ones that stand out, that have more energy, are the ones that I really, you know what I'm saying, like, you really hear me like speak about. But as a whole, listening from 1 to 17, I don't really skip through it, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just be listening, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, the more energetic ones, but as a whole, like, the whole shit is dope, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Wake Up is probably the standout track from this album, and I think that well, I mean, I guess I would say because of Prodigal Son's verse too, but I think another reason why it stands out is because of like just the energy factor. It's like the most hype you know, song off the album, and it comes in the middle, so you know when you're listening to it all the way through, it's really noticeable. But I think And then even like with Wake Up, like the first Sons of Man Killer Army collaboration was Soldiers of Darkness, which I think came out like on like as a single, like A/B side type shit or whatever like that, some years before this. And I always go in between like those two songs, like which one I like better. But I don't know, I think it just depends on the way like the wind's blowing, or where the direction the wind is blowing, or whatever like that, when it comes to which one I like better. But I also like seems to never fails with Islord and Ninth Prince. I think Islord is rather dope, and this is like the only verse that we get from him outside of like some courses that hooks that he does on the album and everything like that.
But you know what though, that seems it never fails. That's another song though that he says it seems it never fails that the devil. You know what I'm saying? They expressed about the devil, the evils. You feel me? So it's like the struggle. All of them, they have the same struggle, you know what I mean? And there's nothing that none of us can't relate to in some type of way. If you question religion or anything of that nature, like, they gonna drop a jewel, you gonna resonate off something off of this shit. So, yeah, that's a good one though. Yeah, I agree.
Now, how do you feel about Burning Season with Killer Sin as the only person who appears on it? Oh, and with Ninth Prince as on the chorus, but verse wise.
Yeah, dope. I mean, that's Killer Sin. Like you said, you're gonna have to do a segment on him alone. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't really think that he get his shine. Like, he gotta get that one solid album out at least, or something. You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I heard somewhere that he's supposedly working on an album, or was. I don't know the situation at this point, of course, but yeah, hopefully, we get a Killer Sin album sooner or later. But so with that being said, any final comments or anything like that about Killer Army's Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars?
All right, well, what is the silent weapon and what is the quiet war? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is like a different view, you know what I'm saying, of how you see this world, where they trying to get you to go past what you see every day. They want to give you an understanding, a clear perception, you know what I'm saying, of what reality is and not what it appears to be. So, the silent weapon and the quiet war. What's the quiet war? Shit, what's the invisible government? You understand what I'm saying now? So it's like, with this, they try to help you see, you know what I mean, what's the solid weapon? That's knowledge, you know what I mean? But you can also take that in different ways, but I'm just saying from this version, what's the quiet war? It's the battle in the sky, the battle with the minds, because all this shit is mental, you know what I mean? So they telling you to wake the fuck up based on the shit that's fucking everything up right now, which is a misunderstanding. They got a song on here, which is number 7, which is God, but it's called Love Hella Right. The Love Hella Right degree, right? You either love hell or you gonna get this shit right. So they telling you to wake up. You know what I'm saying now? So it's like you gotta get knowledge yourself. You know what I mean? And then you form like a unit. And you can be out here and you can win the battle with your A alikes, because y'all all be alike, because y'all all see the same thing alike. You feel me now? That's what that represents to me. That's why I fuck with the album. That's why I fuck with them, period. I know what it represents.